and so on. So we're super, super excited about that. Alumni will have a little alumni tag flag on their name tag as well. So that really is it for my introductions and sort of setting the plan for our presentations. With that, I would like to invite our Associate Dean for the College of Global Futures, Sharon Hall, to come up and say a few words to get us started.
Thanks, Caroline. It's so great to see you here today at our inaugural College of Global Futures Career Exploration Day. We are super excited to have this amazing lineup of professionals here today because they're all committed to the same mission that we are, right? The students and the professors, this is the reason we're here, is to urgently push the boundaries using technology, thinking about sustainability, for the preservation of people on the planet in the future, right? So all of life can thrive. And these are the reasons that why we're here. But in order for us to do this, in order for us to continue on, we need you young people, to stay in this fight. And you know what that means? That means you need to go out and you need to get a job. You need to get a job and find your passion and put your passion into action, but also get a job that can help you thrive and sustain your family, right, throughout your life, because this fight is going to be long and it's going to be continuous and it's going to be very hard. So we are really excited to help you. In the College of Global Futures, this is one of the most important of our jobs, is to help our graduates and from graduates around the university to get into these really important careers with purpose and impact. And so we're grateful to see you here today. With that, then, I would like to turn it over to Caroline, again, the real career professional, and she'll introduce our speakers. I'm going to be here most of the first part of this session, so if you guys would like to talk to me, I'd be happy to do that too. Thank you all for coming.
Thank you, Dean Hall. Great, so I will go ahead and introduce our first speaker today. Our first alumni speaker is Alexia Bednars, who graduated with a Bachelor of Arts in Sustainability and currently works as the lead for Sustainability and Government Affairs for Nikola Motor Company.
Hello all. Thank you so much. Thank you. It's an honor to be here back at Arizona State University. I have a great fondness for the school, being an alumna. So just a little bit about me, so I'm not a stranger to you all. I like to do outdoor things, shocker. My love for the environment carries over into my personal life. I like kayaking, mountain bike riding, even getting on my Peloton occasionally. So what we're really here to learn about is this ASU journey and what's the role sustainability played in my career. So that started in the fall of 2008. I actually was originally enrolled in the W.P. Carey School of Business. A couple weeks before school started, they actually called me and said, hey, we're starting some new certificate programs. They rolled off the list. There was one in sustainability. My mom stopped me and said, you've got to do that. That's the future. And naturally, I didn't listen. I went to the School of Business, and it wasn't actually until my sophomore year when I had my first school sustainability class, and it was like a light bulb went off. That was it. I had to switch schools. And along the way in my career at ASU, I got involved with many clubs, whether that be environmental clubs where we focused on tree planting in urban areas, or in that middle photo there, I did sustainability director for a large event on campus. So I got experience in the field that way. And these relationships have been invaluable. They carry over. They can help you find a job. A lot of times you and your colleagues are working on the same issues, so it's nice to have somebody to reach out to as you try and solve sustainability problems out in the world. Internships, they're huge, they're invaluable. Get started as early as possible. I did a total of 3 at ASU and then 1 post-graduation. But they're incredibly valuable for figuring out what you like, what you don't, where your place is in the world. You also get great references and experience. One of the iconic internships in my capstone year was a City of Phoenix internship with the mayor's office. Actually worked under the sustainability advisor for the City of Phoenix. He's in this room. And that capstone project worked on land use policy, how to creatively use vacant properties, activate them, create economic development around those properties and bring attention to them. We also were developing at the time some waste diversion goals, so I got to sit in on those meetings that the city was planning. Graduation, I did get my BA in sustainability. The track was in urban dynamics. And my minor was in design studies. I like to mention that because even though it's a minor, it's amazing how well sometimes your minor can complement your work and give you that kind of interdisciplinary way to look at the world. So evolution of career. After I graduated in 2013, I got an internship. That was one of the few jobs available at that time. It's not the same world anymore, though. At the time, it was an internship at U-Haul International. They're a truck and trailer company. They're also really a real estate company. From there, I stepped into new roles and opportunities as they became available. Project coordinator, community advocate, eventually manager of the sustainability department. And then after I left a 10-year career at U-Haul, I got an opportunity at a dream job, which was a heavy-duty Class 8 truck manufacturer that specialized in battery electric vehicles and hydrogen fuel cell vehicles. They pioneered technology that was going to change the world and lead decarbonization in that sector. At U-Haul, though, I got great experience working on that real estate portfolio I mentioned. They had over 2,000 facilities. We measured the impact of reusing those facilities, adaptive reuse, over tearing facilities down and building anew. We also measured our energy footprint. We did solar installations, electric vehicle pilots, because it was new research and development for the company. And I did community projects that were quite fulfilling, like Bike to Work Day and farmers markets on campus. And then in my role at Nikola, it has since evolved. I was a senior manager. Now I actually lead all the sustainability, ESG reporting, and the government affairs for the company. So what does that mean, all those hats? Well, ESG reporting stands for environmental social governance. So you're measuring hundreds of metrics that are important to your shareholders, whether it's related to the diversity and equity and inclusion of your employees, or your environmental footprint, or even the transparency and ethics of your company. In the government affairs role, we try to get policy adopted that removes barriers to adoption for some of this low carbon technology. So that includes getting truck incentives into the marketplace, removing barriers for hydrogen production, et cetera, et cetera. Even developing out the workforce for working on technology that's never existed before. And just a little bit about Nikola, we offer two different vehicles, a battery electric, fully battery electric, and hydrogen fuel cell vehicle. Both are zero tailpipe solutions. We also have an energy dimension to our company because it's kind of that poultry problem, the chicken and the egg. You have to have both to make this work. So we're building out the hydrogen dispensing and fueling infrastructure. We even have mobile assets that will help us fill the interim gap until permanent stations are available. Just a neat picture of some of our mobile fueling assets. They can be brought behind the fence for our customers so that they can begin their zero emission journey. Some of our other priorities at Nikola include solar energy at our manufacturing facility, localizing our parts supply and manufacturing where possible, and then in-house assembly of anything so we have better control over quality and there's less waste, waste diversion, recycling critical materials and batteries, and then focusing on the carbon intensity of our hydrogen. And being a sustainability professional, it often doesn't stop when you get off work, right? If you don't find your passion in the workplace right away, which I would find hard to believe, there's lots of great jobs out there and the world's great need, but your passion and expertise are needed right now in every industry and in every division. And so if you don't see an opportunity, go create one. Be the change you want to see in the world. In my spare time, I did a mural festival surrounding sustainability topics, trying to get that conversation going in the public art space. And I also did a neighborhood tree planting pilot with the city of Phoenix. I approached them about this for nearly a year. This pilot led to a larger city grant funding. They just got millions in funding, and they're going to be rolling this out into other neighborhoods. So just go be the change you want to see in the world and seek those opportunities. Get involved where you can. Thank you all for your time. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much. And I will also mention that our speakers that are here in person will be with us after this part of the presentation, so you'll get a chance to speak with them as well. I'd like to introduce our next speaker, Jeffrey Jennings. Jeffrey graduated with a BA in Sustainability and a Master's in Science and Technology Policy from the School for the Future of Innovation in Society. And he currently works as Director of ESG for Leslie. So welcome, Jeffrey.
Thank you. Definitely excited to be here. As was mentioned, my name is Jeffrey Jennings. I work for Leslie's Pool Supplies. We're a national retailer of pool and spa products located in 39 to 50 states. So we sell an assortment of products, everything from pool equipment like pool pumps to pool chemicals, and then recreational items as well. So a little bit about me in terms of interest. I love to travel, so I'll be traveling this year to Paris and England. My mom is from England. And then also like to play the piano as well. A little bit about my story. I actually didn't start in the School of Sustainability. I actually started out at ASU as an accounting student and realized 2 years in that it wasn't a good fit for me. So I went through kind of a period where I didn't know what I wanted to do, thought about urban planning, thought about supply chain, and then a friend had told me about sustainability as a degree program. And what really attracted me to the program was the interdisciplinary nature of the program and how you look at seemingly disparate issues that are unrelated and see the interconnections to tackle global issues. So that really sold me on it. And then also I had a passion for water issues in terms of like social impact, and then also water policy as well. And what really led me to get into corporate sustainability was the realization that business could be a force through good through some of my professional experience, what I'll talk about a little bit later. So in terms of my career path, as I mentioned already, started out with my BA in sustainability. During that time, I had the opportunity to take part in a job training program with Dell Computers, where I got to work for about 2 years in their corporate social responsibility team. Some of the things I worked on was, a lot of data analysis as related to like employee engagement and volunteerism. I also got to work on a water risk assessment where I assessed risk in Dell's supply chain, looking at water issues with Chinese suppliers. And then after that, I also got a master's during that time as well. So during that program, I got to focus on various social related issues. After I graduated, I got the opportunity to work for Arizona Public Service, Arizona's largest electric utility, APS, and where I worked in their sustainability group, so focusing on sustainability planning, stakeholder engagement, and then sustainability reporting. During that time, I got to work on a myriad of different projects, some related to supply chain, where I got to help work with the supply chain team to develop their supply chain sustainability program. So to the speaker's earlier point, it's really, finding opportunities and creating them for themselves is really key throughout your career and before that as well. After that, I transitioned into a role with Freeport-McMoRan. It's a multinational mining company where I worked in their global supply chain team, focusing on responsible sourcing and human rights related work. And then after that, I transitioned into my role as director of ESU, Leslie's. So a little bit about that, kind of the day in the life, is kind of varies. Every day is different, but some of the main tenets of my role include sustainability planning, so things like setting decarbonation reduction goals for the company, also focused on social impact initiatives, things like conducting like in-store fundraising campaigns for national partners, also doing volunteerism projects and initiatives throughout the community, and then supporting the company's efforts around diversity and inclusion. So what's, I'd say, kind of the main thread throughout my whole career, what's been most meaningful to me was opportunities where I get to kind of see the impact on a local level. So for example, in my current role, we have a partnership with the NAACP to award $5,000 grants to local small diverse businesses for them to get certified. So for example, if you're a woman-owned business, with a grant, you can use it to become a woman-certified business. Same thing for veteran-owned business. So opportunities like that are really meaningful to me. In terms of general advice, as the speaker before me mentioned, internships are really key, not only to gain that practical experience, but also to kind of figure out kind of what you like and what you don't like. You might go into an internship thinking that this is really kind of the ideal role for you, but then realize, this wasn't quite what I had imagined, and then you're able to pivot to something different. In addition to that, I always recommend studying abroad. I studied abroad in Costa Rica and Mexico to study ecotourism. So definitely the thing that employers look favorably on, understanding different cultures and seeing that you're a world traveler. In addition to that, networking is really key. I'd say not only networking for the sake of networking, but building meaningful relationships with folks around different key global and technical and industry issues. And then in terms of skills, depending on the industry, I think data analytics and visualization, communication, project management, change management are really key. And with that, thank you.
Thank you so much. And also, I'll just briefly mention, Jeffrey, you're the president of the CGF Alumni Board, is that right? Yeah, I just wanted to mention that as well for those of you to know his service in that regard, and also if anybody has any questions they would like to ask him, I'm sure he'll be happy to answer them. Our next speaker is Colin Tatro. Colin graduated with an MA, a Master's of Arts in Sustainability, and currently works as a Senior Manager for Climate Change and Sustainability Services at Ernst & Young.
Thank you. Good afternoon. Showman, exactly. Shameless carnival barker, more like it, Rob. Okay, it's good to see all of you. My name is Colin Tatro. I'm a senior manager in Ernst & Young's, known as EY's Climate Change and Sustainability Services practice. I work with the global Fortune 500. I also lead our government and public sector work across all of the United States, working from our federal defense, civilian, state, local, and educational clients across the board. I'll move into this. So, what prompted me to get into this area? My mother was a Quaker from Delaware. I'm not joking. My father was a capitalist from Huntington Beach. They met. I'll leave out a whole lot of that stuff in the middle. And then you end up with me, the executive hippie. I believe deeply in the power of doing well and doing good and using business. One of the things that, let's be honest, has gotten us into a lot of the pickles that we're in today, but using that as the definitive force and agent for change in our world, in concert with things like government, justice and equity, and other NGOs as well. Okay, so my overall career path, I don't have Google pictures like the other speakers. I'm just going to talk to you about a little bit of this. One of the things that you're going to notice a little bit different than the other two is I've had a fairly circuitous pathway in my career. I worked at Target. I owned my own landscaping company when I was young. I worked 8 at night to 5 in the morning at a regional call center in order to put myself through college. I moved over to Sweden, studying abroad. Totally echo that. Good to live there. Fantastic. Everybody's tall and attractive. It's very awkward, right? Not like much different from the corpulent dad bod in front of you. But while I was there, I worked with a wood products company abroad. The greatest thing I was able to provide them was the phrase, wood is good. They're actually a sustainable forest harvestry enterprise. Came back, ended up working as a FedEx driver. I worked for a NASCAR team. I came back. This was all before I graduated. All of these things helped inform part of my background, my understanding, how to connect with a variety of different people. Ended up graduating with a degree in marketing from the W.P. Carey School of Business at the time. Went and worked for the ASU Foundation. So I had given the university a whole bunch of my money, and I decided to join an organization that helped raise more money for the university. It was very awkward, right? But actually a ton of fun. Ended up leaving that, going to graduate school as part of the first inaugural class in the School of Sustainability in our graduate program. Left that, went over to public policy, where I had the pleasure of retaining some of the best and brightest people in the entire world, as you saw earlier. Actually, that was her sitting in the mayor's chair. That big red chair, that was literally the mayor's office, and she was mayor for the day, which was a ton of fun. And he didn't know about it, exactly, right? The power when the mayor's out of the office. Ended up working for a couple of sports teams in public policy, sustainability consulting. Had the pleasure and honor of being a faculty associate here at the School of Sustainability for the better part of a decade. Recently was the head of states and regions and public authorities for an organization called CDP. They're the largest global scorecard for business and government. I ran the states and regions and public authorities across the US, and now I'm an executive here at EY, as I said, where I lead all of our government and public sector, along with our commercial clients as well. So I leave with this, or I won't leave with this, I will move forward with this. I view sustainability as a lens. by how I view the ability to do well and do good and advance our peoples and protect folks. I love my job. It is high pace, it is high impact, and it has huge reach and connection. If you were to poll my group, now EY itself has 300,000 people in our organization globally. If you were to poll and extricate just the sustainability practice out of EY, it's 3,500 people. It's the largest global consultancy and the highest impact rated independently. We have access to everyone. So when I work with governments and clients and they say, I am having trouble with this issue or I don't know, I'll be honest, half the time, I don't know the answer. But what can I do? I can go to the well of the incredible global change agents in all capacities in order to broker and offer solutions for change and impact to our clients. And that is terribly, terribly exciting. All right, here's my advice. Raise your hand, literally and metaphorically. Do not sit idly by. Fortune favors the bold. This is what Aristotle taught Alexander of Macedonia, also known as Alexander the Great. Granted, he did some things in Asia, got involved in the land war, didn't end up too well. That being said, fortune favors the bold. If you want it, go and get it. Volunteer, give selflessly of yourself. Before I graduated school here, I was on the board of directors of a prominent business organization here around sustainability. I was the youngest member in the history of them being on the board of directors. I still help and serve them now. That has nothing to do with me, but all it took was me raising my hand saying, I'd like to help serve and support you. And they said, okay, raise your hand, make the ask. There's the old saying, you don't GET if you don't ASK. Never settle for bad bosses. Your talents, your capacity, and your unlimited potential for impact should never settle for second-rate people. I would also say embrace the spectacular opportunity of being entrepreneurial and nonlinear. As you've heard, there's a variety of pathways that you can take to be an agent of change. And I encourage you to find yours. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Colin. Now I'll introduce our fourth speaker. She will be joining us by Zoom. Gabrielle Lout graduated with a PhD in Human and Social Dimension of Science and Technology from the School for the Future of Innovation in Society and currently works as Social Responsibility Program Manager with Ocean Outcomes. Welcome, Gabrielle.
Thank you. Yeah, no, super excited to be here. Wish I was there in person. I'm currently based in Honolulu, so a little bit closer to the ocean for the work that I do. But yeah, great to be here. So I work for Ocean Outcomes. It's a small nonprofit. We work with companies, governments, and other organizations around the world to develop and implement sustainable solutions for seafood. And I lead our work related to human rights and labor rights within that. So next slide, please. So I really was interested in marine science as a young age and specifically deep sea exploration. And as I got more serious about it, I realized that conservation was really what I was interested in. And so as I kind of went through my degrees and mostly in grad school, I really became aware of the social dimensions of sustainability or conservation and really found so much more interest in livelihoods, food security, human rights violations. And as I got more into that space, luckily around the same time in 2015, around 2017, the industry really was hit with all of these investigative journalism and reports around human rights violation in the seafood industry. And so it really created this huge need for more socially focused sustainability efforts and the expertise that's needed with that. Next slide. And so I started out really focusing on the environmental side of sustainability and conservation. So I was the first graduate in my degree, Marine and Conservation Biology in Washington. And then after that, like others have said, I studied abroad during that program, and that was absolutely like a huge gateway into more opportunities and establishing myself in the space. So I took a year off after that and worked specifically for the research field station that I had visited. And then I pursued a master's of sustainability at Hawaii Pacific University. And here's where I really pivoted from focusing solely on ecology and the environmental side of things into really thinking about communities and this nexus of people and the planet. And then never thought that I would end up back in Tempe. That's exactly where I grew up, like 5 minutes from ASU, but an amazing opportunity to do my PhD there. And during that time, although ASU might not previously, because now there's an ocean school, but previously maybe not the obvious choice for a marine science degree. They have such amazing relationships and partnerships with organizations doing the work that I do now. And so was able to do consulting through those connections at ASU. And this really was, I think, the most meaningful work that I did at the time, really applying what I was learning at the same time as my degree and also establishing myself with a lot of the folks that I work with today. And I ended up launching my own consultancy, working on human rights in the seafood sector. And then now I'm in my current role at Ocean Outcomes for about a year. And I actually got hired the same month I graduated, and I really do believe I owe that to the networking and the connections and also the relationships that I was able to leverage through ASU. Next slide. And so in my current role, I work with diverse stakeholders and actors to really identify and mitigate the risks in their supply chain. So I implement various tools, do a lot of interviews, research to really identify where those risks are, and then work with them collaboratively to figure out not only how to intervene, but then also to mitigate future risk. And so for me, I think that always have been like a true field researcher, and engaging with workers is absolutely the thing that I love most. It's the most insightful. It has the greatest impact to the effectiveness of our work. And oftentimes workers are the least engaged in any of our sustainability efforts, especially related to human rights in businesses. And so this has been something that is always evolving and improving, but is something that is really meaningful to me. And just makes all the other work feel very fulfilling to get to sit down. Here I'm on a long line tuna vessel that's usually out at sea for anywhere from 3 months to a year, and getting to just have a conversation with migrant workers from Indonesia. So next slide. And so my advice, I would definitely look for opportunities in the sector that you're interested in. I know that I wanted to be in the nonprofit space. And so when I was at ASU, I was exploring, internships, consulting positions, anything like that in a similar career path. And so it didn't have to be this dream internship. Honestly, not all of them were great pay, but I knew that I wanted to apply what I was learning. And I did develop some of the relationships that are my day-to-day colleagues now. And so networking is so important. I know other folks said that, and networking can look so different. I don't feel like I have always been the best networker, but just reaching out to folks you're interested in their work, having coffee, anything like that, it doesn't need to feel so formal or big or scary. And then also just there's always events at ASU. That's where I felt like it was very easy to meet other folks who were doing work that I was really interested in. And I think my biggest piece of advice, which I feel very passionately about, the things you learn in school in a classroom are wonderful and it's the foundation of your expertise, but really spend time developing the skills that they don't include, like relationship building and communication and project management. These are actually, if you're interested in the nonprofit space, this is like really what you're doing day to day. And it's one of those things that is just not always built into that curriculum. And so having that applied roles and internships and time actually doing the work is where you learn that. So if you can demonstrate that before you graduate and before you're looking for jobs, will really put you in a different position, I believe. So thank you.
Thank you so much. And I just want to say thank you to all of our alumni speakers to taking your time out of the day to come and share your experience with us. We really, really, really appreciate it. Thank you, thank you. With that, we do have a few minutes, it looks like, for questions and answers. So we will invite our speakers to come have a seat in the hot seats. You will need to turn your mics on for that. And my colleague Mary will facilitate the Q&A session, starting with some questions from online attendees. If we then also still have any time to field some in-person questions, we will do so. But remember, we will still have access to our alumni in person that you can come talk to them after the event at the Employer Expo. So I think that does it for me. Mary, are you ready to ask some questions?
Yes, let's do it. All right, we're going to start with a question from Andrew. It's kind of for the group. For those with sustainability as their primary degree, how do you emphasize the value of this credential when you're competing with others who have other types of degrees which may be more relevant for the position?
For me in my career, there's always been an element of education, what sustainability is, what that foundational knowledge is that I gained at ASU. So I think in some aspects, you always have to be kind of an educator when you're applying for positions. There's a holisticness, a foundational understanding that you get. And I just really think you should start with that emphasis and then talk how it can be complementary to the position.
Great question. I'll add here, when you're interviewing for a job, right, the fundamental calculus is how are you going to add value to that organization? Not how they're going to add value to you. Don't want to rain on your parade here, but the basic calculus is they're going to pay you $1 and you need to return $2 in value. Hard stop. So when it comes to being more qualified than not, I would challenge that assumption, right? So fundamentally, you were there to solve a problem or create an opportunity for that organization. Your background in sustainability, whether you have a minor in design studies, sociology, do you have a minor? Just awesome. It doesn't matter. Can you apply a problem-solving mindset to anything? And if you have done your homework, which you should have, reading the 10K, looking at board reports, understanding the organization inside and out. You should spend 20 hours at minimum researching any entity you even get a phone interview with. That you understand their problems, how they've been solved, and how your degree relevantly solves their issues now and into the future. So I would frankly challenge the question. I would say that your degree here gives you a problem-solving 360-degree mindset, the comparative perhaps to others, and this is not me being dismissive or putting down any other degree program, focuses a bit more narrowly, right, in a sector. You understand these things soup to nuts.
Yeah, and I'll just add to that in demonstrating that you've done your research definitely in interviews. So reading those external resources, like Colin mentioned, the 10K proxy statement, their sustainability issue report, looking at news articles, press releases, things of that nature, kind of setting yourself apart that you understand their business and really demonstrating that value. I think also highlighting the experience for your internship and other volunteer opportunities really can help you show how you can add value to the organization as well.
Sure, and I'll just add, absolutely just reiterating what all three others have said. I think that, yeah, at this point, so many people are qualified and have similar related degrees. And I think there is such a value, in interdisciplinary work and having diverse experience and expertise. So I think that is something, at least in my field, to still be a generalist, but also specialist. It's a tough balance to have. But if you can demonstrate that, and I think experience, projects, programs, anything like that really is what shines through when folks have a lot of the same degrees and similar education background.
Can I just jump in real quick to say thank you for those answers? And I wanted to let you know that you do have a CGF Career Services team here to serve you. We coach you on these things. We can have these conversations. We also have a really engaged alumni group, which is fantastic. We have many opportunities to engage. But what I want to say is you can ask these kinds of questions to them, the professionals, the employers, but also the alumni, and they'll tell you, just like you're speaking right now, the true truth of what you need to bring and how you need to do it. So please take advantage of those resources. Thank you.
All right, next question. And I'd love to start with Gabrielle and then work our way backwards. So thinking back to when you were in the job search, what strategies did you use, considering that sustainability, human and social dimensions of science and technology are such broad terms? And then also thinking about how you can leverage your work experience outside of sustainability or innovation to show that skill set. And I think we already kind of touched on that, but if there's anything new you'd want to share, the biggest one is job search strategy when our disciplines are such a broad interdisciplinary degrees program.
Yeah, definitely. And I think this was just always like a hilarious thing, meeting folks or family and asking what my degree was, and then also the school that I was in. Folks just absolutely had no idea, just by describing that, what you actually do. I think for me, I had a pretty somewhat narrow work focus. Knew wanted to be in this kind of niche space of social responsibility in the marine fields. Although I was also open to doing that work with other commodities, so also agriculture and others. But I think for me, I actually received a lot of jobs or opportunities from folks that I knew who were already in this space. So I think that's really where networking came in, and having those existing relationships. Someone who knows this job and also will think of you and say, oh, you're someone who has one or two of these skills, might be a good role. Then you can also leverage that when you apply. Otherwise, I felt like I didn't have a huge network of being able to find that through ASU, just because it wasn't necessarily, a local industry. And so I had other peers who really leaned on faculty and their connections to share their resume or send them jobs, whatever that was. But honestly, it was just a constant search of what was available. I signed up for a lot of different newspapers, anything like that, of organizations I was interested in, and found a lot of things that way. But my current role, actually several people sent to me, and I honestly wasn't interested in it at first. And then, being recommended to that, they saw something in that for me. And so just those valuable relationships were key in the job search, and the whole entire hiring process, for sure.
So just to add to that, I would say try to be focused in your job search. Kind of have an area of types of jobs that you want to focus on instead of applying for everything. That way you can kind of tailor your resume and also having cover letter that specifically to that role. I'd also say leverage social media as well. LinkedIn's a great avenue to connect with organizations. So for example, if you're applying to Google, for example, you can reach out to maybe folks who work there and maybe, maybe try to set up some time just to understand a little bit more about the culture and how it is to really work there. I would also say leverage your network. Your professors are connected to folks in industry and nonprofits and have other connections. Leverage them and let them know kind of what you're interested in, and they can potentially maybe connect you with potential job opportunities as well.
I'll answer in maybe the form of a few questions. Who here identifies as an extrovert? Raise your hand. How about an introvert? And who's too scared to say? Exactly. Okay. There's an old actor, Roy Rogers. He once said, a stranger is simply a friend you haven't met yet. I would encourage you, whether you were an extrovert, an introvert, or, just hiding, to shamelessly go up and get to know people. Hi, how are you? Nice to meet you. I'm Colin. Tell me about you. Not what do you do? Do not ask that question. That's very annoying and it limits all your conversation. Get to know the person. Talk to people. It's not being outgoing, be engaging with people. I'm going to add a little bit more in networking. If after this, you shoot us a note on LinkedIn 6 months from now asking for a reference, you are doing it wrong. When you network, you need to give twice as much as what you ask for. And I'll give you a personal example. I had the honor and pleasure of serving Mr. Stanton in the city of Phoenix as the head of sustainability for the city of Phoenix. Does anyone want to gander and take a guess as how I got that job? There's 2 reasons. These 2 know this. You guys, you know this. What's one of the reasons? ASU, right? So I was formally trained in this stuff. This was back in the dark ages, like when dinosaurs roamed the earth of sustainability, right? People were like, wow, you have a degree in this. Yes, I do. You must know what you're talking about. Yeah, sure. Let's go with that. Fantastic. The other was I knew people. While I was a student, still, there was this class taught in the law school, and we had a crazy guest faculty member. His name was Mr. Ed Fox. Mr. Fox at the time was the chief sustainability officer for an organization that Jeffrey used to work for, known as APS. At the time, Mr. Fox, along with a few other individuals, and this is an individual that used to prosecute in West Virginia Massey Energy, right, for environmental degradation and crimes. He's the head of the largest utility, highly respected, and again, back in the day from like a power brokerage, I guess you could say, folks who were on the end of doing sustainability. This guy was in like the top echelons in the entire state and basically, I'd say in the Western US. Also tied into the government. What did I shamelessly do after class? Or actually what I did before class? I internet stalked him. I mean, this is like when LinkedIn first came out. Now it's like fantastic what you can find on people online. It's super creepy and wonderful, right? I found out that this guy rode bikes. What did I do? Rode bicycles. What did I do when I went up after classes? Like, excuse me, Mr. Fox, can I have a job? I was like, what's up? What kind of bike you ride? Like, oh, start talking about bikes. I then asked him to be in my graduate school thesis committee. Fast forward 6 months. Second person was a faculty member and one of the leaders of the school, Dr. Melnick. Dr. Melnick actually helped write the initial sustainability work even further. This is like, geological time cycles ago, because that's how old Dr. Melnick is, right? I get to make fun of him in public. This is what we do with each other. He'd known me as a student. I'd conned him into thinking that I was a smart individual. So when an opportunity came around at the city of Phoenix, and then the candidates, not even a mayor, said, yeah, we think sustainability is neat in the city of Phoenix. Alarm bells went off here, and I went, who are people that these folks are going to call? I activated my network. I judiciously made asks, and these individuals went to bat for me. I would not be where I am at or the position that I was so privileged to receive without my network.
Down the job pool to something that interests you. I would say it's going to sound really simple and sweet, but start with your interests. Do you have an inclination for fast cars? Maybe start putting in keywords on your LinkedIn job search for automotive. If you like baked goods, sustainable food systems, right? It's that simple. Also, I would just not be afraid to fail or to try something that isn't your dream job, or maybe it isn't, you don't even know it yet. I did a lot of judging early on of job listings and wouldn't even give them the time of day. But I would encourage you to maybe take that first interview and see if it's a good fit. You might just, be illuminated into a whole world you didn't know existed. So that's my advice.
All right, thank you all so much for answering our questions. That's all we have time for right now. But of course, our speakers are going to be outside to answer your questions, and Gabrielle is always available on LinkedIn. So let's give a round of applause for our speakers today. So, like we all said, talking to people, that is what we're here to do today. We have 40 plus industry professionals and alumni here to talk to you. So, they took that time out of their day to be here, so did you. Let's be excited about this. So, I'm going to warm everybody up and introduce our employers. So, at table 1, we have BSI, which stands for British Standards Institute. They are a global company that offers services related to auditing, consulting, and innovation. We're very lucky to have some Arizona-based employers here today focused on innovation and data analysis. So let's give it up for BSI. Where are they? All right, and then next, table 2, EY. We heard from Colin. We're lucky to have Colin here today, so let's give it up for EY and Colin. All righty, and then Fusebox, powered by Pierce Energy Planning, is at table 3. They have a software program that helps their clients assess and reduce their energy and utility use, which helps them reduce their environmental footprint and save money at the same time. So let's give it up for Fusebox. Where are they today? All right, and then table 4, Intel, global leader on making emerging technologies and technology we need to power our connected globe, including semiconductors. But the team here today is focused on innovation, responsible and ethical AI, and risk and controls for their companies. So let's give it up for Intel. All right, table 5, Leslie's Jeffrey's in the house. Going to tell you all about Director of ESG and what Leslie's ESG priorities are and as they relate to the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. All right, give it up for Leslie. All right, Microsoft, where are you? There they are. All right, Microsoft, they develop software for us that we all know and love or have learned to love. But today we have the team representing their sustainability sales strategy. They provide software for people to report on ESG. We have a senior cloud solution architect and an account technology strategist. So let's give it up for Intel. All right, moving on to our nonprofit folks. Arizona Sustainability Alliance is an action and advocacy alliance creating and supporting cutting-edge project-based solutions and sustainability strategies across 5 different priorities. You're going to have to go to their table to find out what those are. But we have the urban forestry and tree planting team here today, so let's give it up for AZSA. All right, at table 8, we have Chispa, Arizona. Their mission is to organize within our Latinx communities in Arizona to grow political power and civic engagement for environmental justice. They are a program of the League of Conservation Voters, which is a national nonprofit. And the vision is to secure just and equitable access to clean air, water, public lands, healthy neighborhoods, and safe climates for generations to come. Let's give it up for Chispa. Nature Conservancy. Mission is to conserve lands and waters that all life depends on. We are lucky to have the Healthy Cities Program managers here today. They are building climate resilient cities through nature-based solutions like tree planting. So let's give it up for the Nature Conservancy. All right, City of Phoenix, biggest city in Arizona. They get 3 tables. Today, we have reps from the Public Works Department, Zero Waste, and Water Conservation Services. You'll have to go out and see their very special display for water conservation. Let's give it up for City of Phoenix. All right, table 13, Tempe, Stomping Grounds. We got the Sustainability and Resilience Office team here today, and they focus on things like climate action for the city, youth climate action, neighborhood resilience, climate justice, and energy equity. Let's give it up for Tempe. All right, table 14 is the Arizona Department of Water Resources. Their mission is to protect, conserve, and enhance Arizona's water supply. And one of our alumni here today is working on a program to help store, save, and replenish water sources for the future. Let's give it up for Arizona Department of Water Resources. All right, table 15, our friends at Arizona Department of Environmental Quality, mission to protect and enhance public health and the environment in Arizona. We are very lucky to have the recycling coordinator here. You may have seen him on YouTube with his biggest reducer videos. Maybe not. So let's give it up for ADEQ. All right, United States Department of Agriculture, Natural Resources Conservation Services. They help farmers and other landowners conserve natural resources and adopt climate-smart agriculture practices. Give it up for USDA and RCS. Table 17, we have the Peace Corps, which provides global service opportunities to serve on and support grassroots, community-driven projects in more than 60 countries across the world. We have recruiters here who are also returned Peace Corps volunteers, so you can talk to them about how their career has launched since their volunteer service. Let's give it up for the Peace Corps. All right, and of course, last but not least, we have the United States Department of State here. The mission is to protect and promote U.S. security, prosperity, and democratic values, and shape international environment for all Americans to thrive. We are so pleased and lucky to have the diplomat in residence for the Southwest to tell you all about the careers, internships, fellowships, and study abroad scholarships that the State Department offers. So let's give it up, diplomat in residence and State Department. All right, so those are all of our tables and all of our employers. Again, have fun, talk to people. Thank you all so much for being here, and thank you to our Zoomers for being here as well. Have a great one.